what I do, I'm back. So what I do when I take a break is I start cleaning sticks, and then I come back here and I get to the back part of my studio. All right, now on the camera, everything looks really small because I'm using a wide angle. But in person, I'm about 10 feet away, and I'm looking at the painting from about 10 feet away at an angle. And then things really pop out as what I need to change or what I need to fix. Okay, so I recommend you just kind of keep that, kind of do that. Kind of, take a break and try to find an area where you can step back and look at your painting from like 10 feet away. Okay, and then it'll really pop out to you what you want to work on. Okay, and what I've noticed when I did that is I kind of need to bring a little bit more contrast in here, a little bit darker darks, right kind of here, I think. I'm just going to kind of go over with this blue and kind of touch up and get this foliage in these trees just a bit darker here, a little bit, kind of more towards the base. And maybe on the interior of those trees. Okay. When I went back and looked at it from 10 feet away, that's what kind of came at me. It's like, I think I need to increase the darkness there a little bit more. Okay. So I'm just going to use this Prussian blue to do that. And I'm just dropping in a little bit here over it. I still got the little green I put down in there. I think it was like this or something that I was adding. So we can still add a little bit of that here and there to get a little bit of color into it. But I want a little bit darker here in some parts. Okay, and if I need to go a darker, we can just go a brown. Okay, because maybe some of these trunks here need to be a little bit more noticeable. Right. Okay. A little bit of darker in there. And we'll just kind of smash it in there with the finger. Okay. Yeah, I think that was an improvement there. All right. And remember, the green back here is this lighter lime green, right? Lighter lime green. We'll pop that in a little more. So we got something back in there that's getting lit up here, bits and pieces. All right. Okay, now let's work on the big tree. All right, so let's get out the good stuff. We're going to get out some scents. And these are nice, good greens. They're soft, they're deep, and it's going to pull that tree forward to us. So I'm going to bring out some of these scents. And just want to pick the right shades of green. Like that's too bright. That's too vibrant. It's really kind of these. Okay. And I'm just going to start adding in foliage. I'm just going to pop the scent right into here. All right, now I'm going to leave spaces here and there so we can see some of the branch come out. See some of the background, this grayish blue is still present in some parts there, so there's some air, trying to, so it's not like a big block, like a wall, right? Go over the trunk here too, right, and here and there just drop. Now the scent, of course, very soft, very creamy, very soft. The scent has no problem going right over the top of everything. Okay. And I'm going to get even a darker dark here in the interior part of the tree, but for right now this green is going to be the main green. I'm probably going to end up using maybe 3 or 4 different types of greens or darks in here when it's all said and done. You can see I just drop, 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 drop. Leave some sky in there. Right, there's random marks and drops, but also have it make sense, you know what I mean? Right, and so this color is really strong. So this color is going to pull. It's going to pump forward, which is what I want it to do. This tree, I want it to come forward to us. Now the interior of the tree, I know I need to go a little darker, okay? But we'll work on that. Let's just build it out. Build out the tree. It may look like I'm just kind of going over a lot of the same space, but I really am trying to leave some space in there to see some of that back part. This is where the sends and the hayas come into play. If you have a bunch of different brands of oil pastel, this is where the sends really, in the soft stuff, sends and the hayas particularly, the softest stuff, really come into play in your sets. Right, a lot of this was done with the craypas, or not craypas, the Van Goghs and Mungio, right? Like most of that was what I used here, right? And then I come in with a very strong pigmented oil pastel with very strong colors like the Sen, and really pop a certain area to really bring emphasis to it. And that's why it's helpful to have different brands to make this just easy, really easier. Okay. So anyway, even if you buy just a few Sens, you'll find it they'll help you when you really need something like this. Do you see how that separates? This green really separates and comes at us more, and then the things sit back and you get a sense of a three-dimensional area, right? And the image isn't flat, right? Because that's my goal here. I don't want to create a flat painting. I want it to feel real, right? Okay, so I'm just dropping in, let the color texture sit. Don't need to touch this up with my finger. The Sen is doing all the work for me. It's creating the texture, it's creating those changes that I want. Okay, and I see a little bit more of this background green coming up here, certain parts. So I'll put some of that in there. Kind of whatever is in the back behind that tree is kind of coming through. I see it kind of right in here too. This is that Neo Pastel. Right? And if I want it to be stronger, I push and give it a little pressure, which drops more color, right? And then I can get a stronger, brighter mark. Okay? Be careful on the pressure because you could snap a stick. If I do that like back here, but if I put the pressure here and hold it down, I can really push into it and get a deeper color, stronger color. Okay? I break sticks a lot because I accidentally push a little bit too much and will break a stick, but that's okay. Happens, it happens, it happens. Okay. So pretty good. I kind of want to leave some spaces in there, right? Helps to see some of that background stuff in there. All right, now I need another dark. Let's see. Now here's a sun dark. Now by itself, this color is very transparent, and you can really see that as I wipe it around here on the side. But when you go over something that's already down another color, you can get a darker dark. Okay, so I'm going to come in with this dark blue that by itself is transparent, but on top of the green that I just put down, it makes that green a little bit darker, and I can get some juicy darks here in the interior of the tree. Okay, I can also kind of draw branches with it and kind of indicate some interior aspects of that. Okay, but I need to bring a little bit of more dark here to the interior of the tree because a lot of it's in shadow, and it just needs to be a little darker here, right? Right here, a little darker. Okay. And typically you'll see that more in the interior of the tree, kind of around the bigger limbs or the branches, right? It's usually thicker, and so you have thicker foliage here on the interiors of trees, typically where those darker elements are going to be. Okay. It's just, you see how random, I'm just kind of going everywhere. I'm just kind of playing and moving and kind of going with my first thought. Like I'm not really, I am thinking, but I'm kind of going with a feel, the feel thing. And I find that if I just feel my way through it, it's funner. It's funner, and it's usually right on. Usually. And I'll have to make some corrections here every once in a while, but okay. Let's take a look at that. Step aside. Okay, starting to come alive there, and then that was this green here. We'll come back here with a little bit of this. Okay, now I'm going to come in with a nice highlight on the perimeter of the foliage, just like I see here in the reference. And so I'm going to grab another sun, and this is the one I like for that kind of stuff, is these soft ones, these really bright. It's kind of like this one, but just stronger, okay? Because these here next to each other are going to be pretty close, but it's a stronger mark, stronger color is what I meant to say. There we go. Okay, so we'll drop that here. Right. Right. But you can tell the difference in that between those two. Now, if I needed this to fade it out, I can just take my finger here and just mark it. Just drop. And that'll change the intensity of that distant green. Okay? Okay, because these are going to be right next to each other, and I don't want them to be the same. I want them to separate. And texture helps separate too. Like I can drop good texture with the sun to help separate a distant area that might be very close in color, but the texture itself makes it different, makes it separate. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying my ramblings, or hope it's helpful. Hope it kind of makes sense here why I do certain things to get the certain effects. And this is getting real gooey. I like that about the suns. I don't know why. It's just fun to get it all gooey and chunky like that. But now you can see things are really popping out. And this whole scene now is changed by just adding this tree here and getting in the right highlights for it. Okay. And you can play around with how much you want to put in there. Don't overdo it. You don't want to lose your darks, right? So every once in a while I might come back in with some darks and kind of pop in a little bit of that. And it's helpful to even draw indication of branch things, you know, different limbs. Even though I can't tell, I can't really see that there, but you know, again, you're an artist, not a photographer, so sometimes you just gotta kind of play. Okay? So put things in that maybe you can't really see, that you just gotta improvise. Now here's another cool thing. Here, I'm gonna add a little bit more, but I think the highlights there are popping pretty good. Remember, I'm gonna lay that thick, right? I want that texture to be thick and pop out. Okay, I need that to separate from that. All right, now I'm going to bring in a fun thing that I like to do. I like to bring in a warm dark. And so this is a dark. It's a plum color. It's a sun. What number is this? I don't know. But you can see the color of it. It's plum. Let's call it plum because that's what it is. All right, but it's dark. And so if I lay this here, I can still retain the dark, but I add a bit of a warmth now to this tree, and it's a nice complementary color to the greens. Really helps the greens out and enhances those greens to have the complementary color of the green, which is kind of this warmth plum, but it's dark, into the tree itself. That really enhances those greens. These colors really work well together. So I try to incorporate, when I'm working with like a green, to find the complementary color to it, you know, what the color is on the opposite side of the color wheel, and try to add sub elements of that. And the two colors work really well together. It really sings now, really pops, moves. Okay, and this one is just a nice warm dark, right? Because we got a strong light that's coming out behind it, right? So there's a little trick, is when you're working at greens, try to find maybe in the trunk or the branches or maybe somewhere around where you can add in a complementary color to those greens to really make those greens pop and sing and come through and come alive. Okay, want the colors to really pop and come alive, right? Okay, so there's that. All right, now I'm going to take a little brush here, and got a little brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it up a little bit, and I'm just going to use these little wipes, these disinfectant wipes. They're so handy because not only do they clean my hands, but they also will clean a brush that has oil pastel on it. Okay, so I can get it back to pretty much clean. And then what I need to do is I need to dry it out. So I'll just use my shirt, or I'll use a paper towel to dry it. Okay. And then what I do is I take the brush like this, and I'll just brush back here. And I'm just brushing. And what happens is it changes the texture and the values of what I'm brushing, and it kind of sets it back some. Okay. And notice I'm not going to do it to this tree. I want that tree to come at me, and I want this part to sit back. Okay. So I'm not brushing the tree. I'm brushing around what's behind the tree. You understand? Okay. That's all you got to do. Just brush it. If you lose some of the color back in there, which does happen if you go too much, you can always come back and add it. And add it. Okay? You can always bring it back if you did a little bit too much, and then you can brush it again. Okay, but what I'm doing is I'm changing texture, I'm changing value, okay, of these back colors here. I want those to sit back there, right? And I want the tree to now come at me with all its texture and bright colors to come forward, okay? So understanding that three-dimensional aspect of everything. So you're not creating a flat image, you're creating a living, breathing, three-dimensional painting that really feels real and feels like you're really there, right? You're like, I'm really there. And so that's a nice little trick. And you can use really any brush. This is a really good one by Sennelier. But I've used, you know, even like a stiff bristle type brush like this to do the same thing. Okay, and you just kind of brush the area that you kind of want to sit back some. Dull out the color a little bit. Soften the edges so that I don't have so much texture back there, because I want the texture up here. I want the texture in the front. Right, there, look at that trees is really just popping at me now, right? Really feels like it's coming towards us, right? That's what I want. Okay, I'm just gonna play around now. I'm kind of done with the painting. I feel like I've kind of finished. I'm just gonna kind of enhance here and there, drop things, just kind of play around. You know, at some point I have to stop and then take a break and then look at it the next day, usually, or a few hours later, or like I said, take a picture of it with my iPhone and then look at it through the small screen. That really helps me sometimes with getting things to look right. I think what I want to do is bring some of the reflection of the brights here, kind of right down in here a little bit, right? Pretending that what that tree is doing right there is maybe a bit of that reflection of the foliage coming down here and sitting on the top of the water there. Okay, just little things like that, just you'll see it. Again, water has to lay always flat. And is this bright? There's bright. Now let's see what a sun white looks on that. Here's a sun white. This is a very gooey little white stick. But maybe I want some of that pop to happen a little bit more down here. And that sun white will definitely do that for me. Save your whites for last, right? Save the brights for the final pop. Okay? Because if you start off with that, you can't get any brighter if you need to get brighter. So notice I did it with that silver gray. Now I'm really popping that light. Okay? Yeah. And it's really gooey, and you can just drop a pigment here and there, just a bright little bop like that. You know, just here and there. And it's so soft, I can just literally barely touch the surface, and I'm going to get a pop. But I'm going to pop the water here, certain parts, just like the sun is kind of like sparkling off the surface, right, the water there, right, as it pops, right, hits that and just kind of hits you right in the eye, you know. You got to wear sunglasses or something when you're sitting at this little river here as you're enjoying a hot July summer day, coming down with your buds, all right, cracking a cold one, sitting down in the river. Doesn't that sound good? Cooling off, enjoying the day, the sun, the warmth, as it hits you in the eyes, as it hits you in the face, just enjoying that sun. Okay, just pop it. Pop it, pop it, pop it. A little sun white pop. And be careful. I don't want to pop it too much. A little bit's good, but I can easily overdo that and then ruin things. So I got to be just careful. All right. Oops. I think we're kind of getting done here, guys. Don't know if I want to add any more at the moment. I might take a break here and come at it with some fresh eyes tomorrow. But I think for now, I think we're going to call this good. I think I want to bring in that highlight more. That was that creme. Pop that shore right there. Drop a stronger mark there. Okay. So anyway, it's been fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. Hope yeah, you learned some things about how to control the color, your values, where to put stuff, etc., etc., etc. Right? See, I just keep adding a little color here and just bring in some stronger marks. And pop. All right, I think we're good, and we're gonna stop. Let's go ahead and move it all back. Move it all back. Because I'm dropping things all over the place. It always happens, things get dropped. Yeah, down here. Ooh, gotta bend the legs. Oh, that's hard. Okay. All right. All right. There we have it. And another thing with water that you can do, a little trick here, is if you get some of this, this is a Sennelier colorless stick. It's basically like a medium for oil pastel, like I don't know, if you're an oil painter, maybe it's like extra oil, like linseed oil or something, but basically it's just oil and wax. There's no color in this, but it adds a sheen to water. Okay. And what I do is I'll take it like this and I'll add a little bit more oil wax to the surface of the water like this. And it's a very subtle difference, but it gets kind of shiny. Okay, and it really helps depicting the surface of a water surface like this sometimes. I don't do it on every water painting, but sometimes I will, and I think right here I am going to do that. Okay, this is just Sennelier stick. It's actually a blender. It's a blender stick. So it's just oil wax. There is no pigment here, but I'm dropping oil and wax over the top of this surface of the water. I'm getting a nice sheen going. Okay, good for water. That's all I really use that for. All right. Yeah, I think we're good. I think I lost some of my pops back in there. Put some of those back in there. All right. Anyway, guys, I think we're done. I gotta call it quits. I gotta eat, pack, and going on a trip here. I gotta do all some stuff here, and I gotta let this sit for a little while before I come at it again. But there we have it. And there is the reference. It was a fun one. That is for sure. All right, let's sign it. That's always fun. Let's sign the painting. Let's find a good place to sign it. That's usually one of these two places. I think right here in this dark part is a good place. All right, so let's go ahead and sign. And I like to just do really easy my initials, roughly, and then my thumbprint, like that. And then later I'll grab my polychromos. Oh wait, I'll do it right now. Hang on. I just grab a white. These are colored pencils, oiled pencils, and they were very compatible with the oil pastel. And you can just write right over the top here. And I'm just gonna put my name right in there somehow. There we go. Right into that. All right, let's get some close up. Okay, you can see there. Close-up shots. Okay, let's look at it from like an angle. All right, other side. You can see the picture next to it too. Now for me, I'm about 4 feet away right here. I know it looks different on the camera because I'm at the wide angle lens, but I'm about 4 feet in person. Looks pretty good. And there it is. Nehalem River, 5 p.m. afternoon on a nice hot July day. Right. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And yeah, I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.